moving on to the next session. I would like to now welcome our speaker of the day, Mr. Kumar Varma, the founder and CEO of Native Araku Coffee. Just before he speaks, I want to quickly introduce him. Kumar Varma is an ambitious individual. He is also a seasoned businessman who has ventured into fields of branding, retail, healthcare, and skill development. He has 16 years of IT and BPO experience and has worked for several MNCs and left IBM as deputy general manager to start his own business. He currently owns a premium coffee chain and brand that is present in several airports across India and growing internationally. In addition to today's topic, he will also briefly discuss how he translated from corporate learning at training firm to native Araku coffee. I now welcome Mr. Kumar Varma to enlighten us.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come over all the way and talk about, uh, you know, my journey, successes, failures, all the way in the last 22 years. First of all, I would like to thank Ravi Sharapu, Srinivas Savaram for. I don't have the. I don't need the mic. I think I am audible. Can you all hear me? Sriram, if you can hear me, I know if I'm audible. All right. So let me start about native Araku coffee. What happened and how did native Araku coffee actually originate? I'll talk about a short story, and then we'll go back to how did I transform my success? How did I really make mistakes, and how did I learn out of them? And talk about talk about today's topic in terms of opportunities. How do we generate out of the competitor analysis, and how important is it for us? So talk about native Araku coffee. 2017. So I've been in Vizag since 2007. So I worked with IBM. I relocated from Hyderabad to Vizag in 2007 because IBM brought me here. And 6 years with IBM. And after that, I started my journey as an entrepreneur. 2017, I was driving by to Araku Valley and then stopped by Anandagiri Hills. And I was talking to a tribal farmer just to learn. See, I've been enjoying Araku coffee for the last 10 years. But I certainly wanted to know what's the journey behind Araku coffee? What really made Araku coffee so successful? And how can I really, understand the basics, how it really originated and all of that story? Then the tribal farmer, can you move on to the other slide? You have it? This is the next slide. Just go to the next slide. Next. Okay, so when I was talking to this farmer, this farmer is about 70 plus years old. He's been living there since 1958. He spoke to me for 2 hours. He said what was the journey and how did Araku coffee originate and what went really well in Araku Valley and what really bothered them so much. For 2 hours, he spoke very sweetly, very nicely, very gently. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So in this journey, he's the old man whom I was talking to. By the end of 2 hours, this farmer asked me a question. Why are you wasting my time? I might have as well taken care of my sheep and earned 10 rupees more. People like you come, sit down, for a fancy you take a selfie and give me $100 and go. And I was surprised. He spoke for 2 hours. And what went wrong and what did I make a mistake in so that he asked me this question? The next point which I asked him is, what is really bothering you? How can I really help you out? In a simple 3 words, he said, can you change the world? If so, can you remove the middleman? If not, the third point is, from here, down the valley, he showed me, can you see that small hut down the valley which is 3 kilometers down? I said, yes, I can see. That's my hut, which I'm living for the last 32 years. Okay, the hut next to that is my son's hut. And the next hut is my grandson's hut. Right? This is my life. What can you change? Right? So surprisingly, a 75-year or 70-year-old tribal farmer who's not educated has a thought process behind saying that, can you change the world? Somebody has some thought process behind. right? Then I said, okay, let's do this. What time will you go down to your home? He said, I'm going in another 10 minutes. So let's walk through. And surprisingly, there's no road like the way what you see in media, like the way what you see in newspaper. I walked along with him for 3 hours. That 3 kilometers down the line. It is absolutely bad. There is no vehicle. You can't just walk down on your bare foot. It's really, really painful. We went to that village. This is about 12, 13 families together living in one village. No electricity. And then chiefs and the family members actually stay together, right? And when you go back and see that place, right, it's like, can anybody stay here? It's the first feeling which I got. The moment I reached there, there is one or two people who've come from that village saying that, who are you? Why are you coming into my system? They have that fear. There's a new face which is coming into the village. I asked him, I've come along with the farmer to know what's happening at your end. Then these two people, these are like probably about 40 years age, and another guy should be about 35. And I said, I'm here to really understand what's the pain point. I really wanted to know how can I really help you. And this guy says, you have to get out of this place. You cannot stay here. Right? This is our village. We have our own privacy kind of stuff. And they started talking very rudely. Then there is one senior gentleman who said he's a Naxalite who's actually taking care of the village, converted to a common man. And he says, sir, I am so and so. You seem to be a little professional, but tell me, how can we help? I said, sir, I was talking to this old man, the same gentleman. He told me these are three problems available. I'm not sure I'm going to solve the problem, but I wanted to understand the problem on ground. That's the reason I've come. Then he sat through and he spoke about his story. He said, sir, I was in the Naxalism for 11 years. I left that profession and I've come back to the common man. I came to this village and I wanted to take care of this village and give them a better access and get a process. I'm talking about get the money to this particular family. That touched my heart. I said, while we're seeing everything in corporate, I've not traveled across the globe, I've seen everything. But when you go back and see, a family there needs 500 rupees to survive for a week. 500 rupees to survive because the rice is cultivated by them, the vegetables are cultivated by them, the spices are also available with them, and their living age is from November till March. They earn money for the year, which is on coffee. But what happens the remaining time is only sheep. If they get market, they get market. Otherwise, they don't get market. That touched my heart, and I promised that farmer I'll come back in 1 month with one company which will change and transform. I have no clue anything about coffee or a tribal farmer. I don't know what is their lifestyle, but something which really touched my heart. I said we have to start and do something and contribute to the society. That's how I started Native Arku Coffee. That's the story behind the organization, and he is the man who's brought Native Arku Coffee to this particular stage. And by the way, till date, we still take care of that family and the village. The first step which we did is 1 month, we have started the company called Native Arku Coffee. I went back to that village. Can you go back to the previous slide once? And I showed this photograph that you are my brand ambassador. All our visiting cards, all the branding which is done, it goes along with that farmer. And that's how we made them say, hey, look, things can change. Have trust in us. Then I said, I'm going to adopt this particular village. We adopted the village. We started training all of them because I don't know anything about the coffee. Every weekend I used to go spend time in the village, understand how does the coffee work, how does flowering happen, how does fruit comes out, what is called as roasting, what is called as grinding. We have no clue. We're talking about it. Basic knowledge is all gathered there. Started spending time with them, adopted that village. Then we went to another village. Then we entered another village. We adopted about 7, 8 villages in that place in 1 year. Then we've started getting good response because what's the differentiation factor between rural and urban? The trust factor. Rural and tribal don't trust you the way what we do on the urban side. In this rural area, especially this is tribals, right? They don't trust you. It took almost 3 years for us to really get that trust. And how did we get that trust? Also, I'll tell you. In 2018, we were able to capture good markets. We were able to give good price to the customer. And end of the day, what we've done is 1 year we've done, and after that we said, okay, now that the farmer is only selling a coffee bean, he doesn't know anything about roasting, grinding, and how does the brand work. He has no knowledge about it. So we said we will call the next generation entrepreneurs. In every village, about 10 plus 2 graduates. So we identified about 5, 6 of them. Okay. In the 6 of them, we've identified 2 women and one man. And this is an age of 21, 23, and 25. And we called all of them. I said, hey, look, I'm going to train you on how does roasting happen. I'm going to train you how you have to do grinding. I'll tell you how branding also makes a difference. Fortunately, out of 3, only 1 survived. Because remaining 2 is one guy who survived. Remaining 2 said, sir, we have other works to do. We cannot really take this time to spend time, learn, and do all of that stuff. In this journey, we decided in 2019 that we will invest in putting a small roaster in that village. And we went up and set up a small roaster grinding machine. Now, today, we do about 10 tons of coffee in India, and all of them gets processed in this village only. Your roasting, grinding, everything happens there. Packing only happens in Vizag. And the value proposition, what made tribal farmer trust us is every penny which is ordered. When I order from this village, I need about 1 ton coffee. And I know the list of farmers who has produced what and how much am I picking from whom. And we pay them directly to their bank account. That is 30%, not 70%. 70% we pay them cash. You know what is the reason? You go to tribal area, you go to Padere, you go to. I'll use the mic. Is this better? Okay. So when we went back and seeing why can't we do 100% transfer to the bank account, the biggest opportunity is for me to withdraw more than 5,000 rupees in any of the tribal area in the banks. I have to wait for 5 days. I'll be given a token, and I have to put a token, and I have to go back to the same bank to withdraw money. You look at the pain point. ATMs doesn't work, and the maximum withdrawal capacity in the ATM is 4,000 rupees. How will an individual survive? Right. So this is what we've started transforming things. And suddenly COVID has come, and everybody got into trouble. And that's when we reached out to one of the international organizations called Rainforest Alliance. I'm sure, I don't know how many of you know about it. So we just partnered with them in 2020 for doing a pilot in certifying Araku coffee as per international standards, which can be supplied directly to ITC Group. So we're doing that pilot program. COVID has come, and because we're connected to all the FPOs, farmers, villages around, every day we used to get calls saying that, sir, something, this farmer we lost him, this farmer we lost him, this farmer we lost him. And end of the day, for me as a businessman, if I want to survive, I have to take care of their lives. It is so important and it is so critical for me to really take care of life. Then I reached out to the medical healthcare department of Padir and I said, sir, can you give me some dynamics on what is the requirement that we can really save lives? Then I reached out to the US guys from Rainforest. I requested that we need oxygen concentrators at that point of time. This is predominantly in the month of May, where phase 2 of COVID was happening. So they got convinced. So I personally drove down for 72 hours for 120 kilometers stretch, went to all the PHCs, we distributed 20 oxygen concentrators in all the hospitals. And then we followed up with all the doctors. We spent time with we made a group for all the doctors. We spent time with all the doctors. Please. Okay. So we went back, and when I was traveling in this journey of 3 days, something, whatever we've seen in television, what we've seen in whatever way it is, the pain point is, I've seen people dying in front of me because of oxygen. Because the cylinders were not available, refilling was not available. When I've given the oxygen concentrator, people don't know how to use oxygen concentrator. Doctors don't know how to use them. They've got it trained when they were in their MBBS college days. Then we have to get them on to back. We got all them online trained. And after that, we started tracking how many people have we saved. The day when we've done that, and we went back to them and said, hey, look, are you all okay? Your health is safe. From that day for the last 2 years, you believe me or not, the tribal farmers started trusting native Araku coffee. It is not just buying the bean and going out of it. It is about saving lives. Right? So that's how we actually build our own relationship with coffee. And this is how our success story. Today we have about 12 FPOs working with us. 10,200 plus farmers working with us. We know where is the produce, what produce can be done, and how to really work with them in taking it to the next level. While there are too many competitors sitting down in the globe, there are too many people working I'm talking about government is working, there are about 12, 13 um, private organizations working in mentoring them, getting them a lot of access. There are a lot of funds available there also. All of this is there. What we can contribute to that ecosystem has actually built the brand called Native Agriculture. So this is where the true story has actually moved on. Let's go on to the next point and what was my journey, and then I'll talk about how is the competitor analysis very important and how do we really grow about it. I'll give you that short step about it. So I come with the same 16 years experience, and Ravi and I worked on one transition. That's how we know each other very well. See, IT is a very different platform to play. So I was listening to a couple of people on the IT. I've been on the same side. Right? So I started a company in 2013 called Corporate Learning. Right? This is more into skill development. We went to colleges. We want to add value to the ecosystem. Being a DGM for IBM, right? I know the true pain of what is the requirement for what is the skill set required for corporates, right? So 3 years, done huge transition. Went to a lot of colleges in East, West, North, Godavari side. We trained about 38,000 students there, right? Contributed to the ecosystem. But what we've learned out of it is we can't live with one business. We just can't live with one business. And then I said, okay, this is not the way it's going to fly. Let's get into our core. There's something called creativity in your own stuff. And then I decided, let me get into another organization called the Corporate World. Is an organization which I have built. This is primarily into branding and promotion, which is one of my expertise, which I really make. So started formulating things, started working with governments, started doing videos, drone shots, camera pictures, making nice brochures. We've done all of that stuff, website designing. Started getting into it. It's just not corporate learning. It's about corporate world also. We just start mapping to each other. Right? Skill set is always one skill that we have to add value to it. Along with it, and that was a good successful story for 2016, Jan to December, and then I've started another company called Medic TFHC Private Limited. This is primarily into rural healthcare, right? This was the whole idea was to empower rural citizens to get healthcare services at their doorstep. And this organization initially, we did well, but post the new government, we lost hope. And there are tons of mistakes which we have made. Okay, it is not somebody else's mistake. It is our mistake which we made by not predicting it right, by underestimating our competitor. How did our factor go up in COVID, and why did we fail? And we went back and said, why did we fail? And that's when the whole team we went and said, the biggest opportunity which we've seen is we didn't do the gap analysis right. All we've been doing is okay. Fracto has done this, so we are different. Okay, we've done different on this. So what is the best in the world has done this, so we've done this. But is it practically possible for me to implement on ground at the rural stage? And how much time is going to take? Am I readily funded for that game to play on the ground? The answer is no. We failed on that. We failed on all three steps. But while we're doing this, that's what I said. 2017 is when we got into coffee. So coffee started giving me a lot of learning. See, I've done good, I've done decent, I've done bad. Now these three combinations is when I put my drawing back on the white paper. I said, what went right, what went really wrong, why did it go very wrong, and how do I really to get my investments right, and how do I need to do on our own. That is when I started learning, and then every learning in these three companies is put on as a success story today's Native Coffee. Right? So nothing is perfect. Yes. Yeah, I'll do that. So gap analysis when I wanted to mention on it categorically, first and foremost thing is like one of the presentations which is going on. You really have to know what is the difference. See, I'll give you one slide. This will talk about gap analysis and the opportunity analysis, in the competitor analysis. I'll show you that slide also. One important thing which you have to learn is, please remember, By the time you think and you execute, there is somebody who's already doing it by the way. Don't think that your product is unique, right? Don't think that your product is unique. Your product can never be unique at the current stage. By the time you think, you implement, there is somebody who's already doing it. And by the time somebody is doing it, if you don't patent your concept, somebody is taking it. These are two things are very, very important for any startup. Please remember that. And everybody have a wrong perception. Patenting will take a very long time process and all of that stuff. This is absolutely wrong. It's all about how do you understand it right, how do you write your document right, get your drafting right, and just go on it. And you're secured and safe. Okay, so that's how the journey happened. Now I'll just show you. Just go back to the down slides. Okay, just go up. So this presentation primarily I have made for one of the international clients who wants to invest and who said, Ram, I really want to understand what is your process and how do you work and where do you work. See, everybody has this perception, Ram, it's just be a 10 slider. Investor doesn't have time to go through all of that stuff. So it all depends upon what do you want to sell and how do you understand, how impressive can you make a presentation which should be attractive for the investor. That's equally very, very important. Okay, so just go to the next slide. My style of working, which I learned out of the three, organizations, is pictography talks much than words. We write tons of data on it, tons of numbers on it, but if you can really depict that with a picture and a number, it gives into the mind. That's psychologically right. Being a trainer, I've learned that and I'm implementing it. Go on to the next slide. I don't need to just go down. Slow. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to show you now in the next slides, these are all pictography. I was talking to you firstly, how did it originate? This is the old man, 1958 one. The first hut guy, the second hut guy, and the third hut. Did I depict what is spoke? The first hut, the second hut, and the third hut. So with that, we made one goal. We really wanted to improve tribal farmers' income source from 20 to 30%. I'm not going to change the world. Neither I can change the world. Let's be practical about it. So a farmer used to get 220 rupees per kg on a green coffee bean. Today I'm giving them, after 5 years, today we pay them 480 rupees per kg. But I didn't change the world. And see, there are about 1,29,000 tribal farmers working for profit production. All I am targeting right now is 10,400 people, out of which productively people who can really work with us, who are implementing, whom I'm supporting, should be about 50-60%, not more than that. Let's be practical on numbers. And this is what we're trying to add value to the ecosystem. This 5,000 people are your brand ambassadors who are going to take it up to the next level. That's equally very important. Next slide, please. This is our vision. I'll probably share this video to you in a PDF for you guys to go through it also. Next slide. So by the way, all these photographs are shot by me. Next. This is our journey. Next. Next. This is all our products. So we've got the Startup India recognition also, certificate recognition. We're the first startup from Andhra Pradesh to get the Startup India recognition in the agriculture sector. Again. Next. Oh, that's okay. So what I'm trying to showcase is how is competitor very important. See, coffee is the second biggest commodity in the globe, consumed commodity in the globe, right? The biggest man who's done. Sir, what was the first one? I said the first one is me, sir. Yeah. So these are all our international partnerships. Let's go on to the next one. So what I'm trying to showcase right now is when I have in 2017 when I actually formed Native Arco Coffee, there is one organization which I don't want to name it, but which is being funded by the NGO, which is funded by various big MNCs, right? And they're already in the market. Big bees. Now the way Arco Coffee is there in Paris, there's a branding happened. It's being done by one of the great team. It's Nandi Foundation who's contributed, who's brought the brand value to the organization. Due respects to all of that. They're there in Bangalore also, right? When I started the company, I get a call from this team. I said, "Who are you? Why are you putting up? This is our name. How can you really put up a Arco Coffee name?" And I said, "Sir, native Arco Coffee is my brand. I'm not trying to go back and pouch and get into your system. My lane of business is to add value to the ecosystem. While you're doing it for they've done it for about 25 villages." I said, my aim is to go back and for the remaining people. Then they said, do you know about the soil? Do you know about the nature? You know about the all? I said, "Sir, I don't know. I'm learning." 2018, I got a call from tourism department saying that, "Ram, we heard about you. We need about 2 tons of coffee for tourism promotion and spices." I said, "Sir, I'm a small man. We have Anku Coffee, we have Girijan Corporation. These guys are doing a great job. Why me?" Then they said, "Ram, it is not about coffee powder. It is about the story which you're trying to tell. From an AP tourism perspective, we want to show that story saying that, hey, look, we promote startups in the ecosystem. We certainly want to add value to the ecosystem. And this is why we wanted to promote." There was a gentleman called Kaushik Mugachi at that time who brought me into that system. We promoted there. Second, there was a hot air balloon festival which has happened in Araku. For all the 120 captains who's come from the world, we've given coffee. These are stories which is built. It is naturally which is come because we're adding value to that ecosystem. We branded it right. Most important, branded it right. Okay. So in this juncture, then I said, okay, in 2019, I reached out to Coffee Board of India, in which is in Visakhapatnam. I told them, "Sir, I'm a startup. I'm a technology guy. I have no clue about coffee. This is the knowledge which I have. I need help." Narsipatnam Coffee Board, there's a gentleman, Dr. Suresh Babu, who is the research deputy director. He said, "Ram, come on every Saturday. I'll spend time with you." He spent 5 weeks with me in teaching right from the basic in the research station. He showed me what is green. He said, "How does the soil really make a beautiful coffee?" They had 120 acres of research plantations there. I spent that every Saturday with them for 5 weeks, and he taught me Andhra. He taught me why tribal farmer really quits. He taught me why tribal farmer doesn't get a prize also. And I've learned that particular trick. Okay, this is the true learning what we have to do. Then I've come back and I said, okay, this is not the way it's going to work. Let's see who are the topmost coffee market presence guys. You talk about Starbucks, you talk about Costa Rica, you had Coffee Day. We have in the domestic market, you take your Tatas, you do your Goodin labels, and all of this stuff. In Arco, we said, okay, you have Arco Coffee, and you have GCC, which is the competition, native Arco Coffee. I'm not able to show that if I can. It's stuck. Okay. So what I've done is then I reached out to Arco Coffee. I went to Bangalore and I went to a couple of places when it is open. And before that, I went to the place where it is the Gandhi Foundation. We're not allowed to get inside. Then I went and spoke to the farmers who grow there and all of that stuff. And they told me the story, sir. This is how it works. This is the price about it. And I went to the website. I bought their products to understand how this coffee is different to our coffee. What I've learned an opportunity from the competitor is he doesn't do filter coffee. He only does black coffee, which is of international standard, which is top graded coffee. The bottom of the coffee is not used. I've written this as my first opportunity to work upon. Second is you looked at brew, you have 2 rupees sachets. You brew, Nescafe, Sunrise, all of these are available, right? I bought all of them. I went to Chennai. I learned about filter coffee. Then I went to you have Leo coffee, Nursing coffee, Kumbakonam coffee, Coimbatore coffee. I bought all the coffees. Then along with my team, we said, okay, guys, every day we'll taste one. Okay, so we start together. Every day we taste one plant, and we've taken a white paper. I said, you tell me your experience honestly as a consumer, and we've written all of that. Then we went back to Coffee Board. We said, sir, this is my analysis out of the current product, and I'm going to make a product which is out of the box. And that is how Native Arku Coffee built a blend called filter coffee, which is a combination of 80-20, which is 80% coffee and 20% chicory for a filter coffee. And in this, we have various combinations in it. Coffee is an ocean. But what we've looked at is a competitor should not come back to my coffee again. He should not blame that this is a thin flavor. And you have to come out with a blend in that. That is one we've originated. Second we've originated is instant coffee. We do it in very, very, very small scale, but we've done a premium coffee already. Right? Third, which is very important, the chocolate which we're having right now, right, is a signature collection which we've developed very much in Vizag by a woman entrepreneur. So that's how you'll be making a unique difference, and all these getting connected to two people. One, all these are getting connected to two people. One, tribal farmer does the true coffee blend today and what you're having on chocolate. Second is a woman entrepreneur who's actually making the chocolate sitting down in Vizag. Third, competitor is the only person who will give you great ideas to build a unique platform for yourself. Please remember, as I told you in my first statement, competitor is the only guy who will give you more inputs on how to actually do one other product. It is nobody else. And a retail, as is a retail product, right? Sitting down on an internet and surfing on the internet will not give you data. Will never give you accurate data. Please remember this. You have to go on ground. You'll have to do research. You'll have to spend some time on it and telling that, hey, look, this is what I have to do. Oh, this is a true thing which we have to do. See, one conclusion statement in competitive analysis. This is the toughest thing which I faced in my career. Native Arku Coffee, we filed for a trademark. It took 18 months for me to get to a hearing. There are three competitors sitting down who did not allow us to get the trademark. The only thing which has helped us out is the bank transaction which we have paid to the farmer is the only statement which helped me saying that yes, whatever Native Arku Coffee is doing is true. Now you tell me, is the competitor help me? The answer is no. The competitor gave me an opportunity because he is not transferring it to the farmer account. He's only transferring to the middleman or a distributor or a wholesaler. So this identifying an opportunity through competitor analysis is a big game changer. Please remember that. Never think my product is unique. Your product is never unique. By the time you think it is unique, there's somebody else in the world who's already making it. Like today, I made Araku chocolates. Okay, I know for sure there's somebody else who's already making it.
Differentiation is concerned, is there any difference compared to your competitors, your product?
200%, sir.
What blend?
Blend. So for me, if you take an example of Green Label, it does a 60-40, 60% coffee and 40% chicory. But there is a grade in it. There's a grade in chicory, grade in coffee also. The grade which I use is the signature. I only do a premium coffee blend with premium coffee roast and premium coffee chicory. So obviously the blend changes. And that combination does not exist with somebody else. I can't share the formula, but that is how we work.
But also,
yeah, the same thing. See, every organization has. My blend doesn't exist with CC.
Because if I go there, I ask them to do the mix according to my.
Yeah.
I ask them to do 80-20.
Yeah.
I usually do that. What's the difference between that and this?
See, when you go to coffee day, you do an 80-20 of what? Not with chicory, right? With which coffee day? Your CCDs? No, CCD doesn't do chicory mix. Please. Yeah, fresh ground coffee is a different system. See, chicory mix will not be done in the big coffee shops. It's a mix of robust. Yeah, that's right. The local guys do it. That's fine. In chicory, there are 6 grades. In Arabica and Robusta blend which we make, there are 16 grades which I go back and flavor. So that's what you see. One green bean gives you 154 aromas out of it. 154. I do a medium roast. If I do a medium light roast, the blend changes. So there should be consistency in what we're doing right now. So the blend which I made a standard operating procedure where my roast should be with this type of bean, with this moisture, this combination is my blend.
others also can do that.
Can do that, sir. That's what I said. Today
very advantage, competitive advantage.
Sir, coffee is the biggest competitive market in the world. You can never satisfy one customer. But another advantage is once one customer gets used to one coffee, it doesn't feel like going to another coffee. And that's where I play the game about.
No, when you said blend and green label, so now you understand how many blends come in the business.
Right. So, for example, Brew was doing a 60-40 all the days, the 2 rupees sachet. Now the packing is changed. What has changed? It's 70-30. But actually, it is 65-35. Because we've been in the coffee, we know that. Then as a customer doesn't want to get out of Brew because it's just a 2 rupees sachet, it makes my job easy. Just put on the powder and my coffee is ready. Right, so, sir, in the coffee world, it is a everyday game. For us, it is an everyday game. and the most competitive and the most profitable business across the globe. And how do we play it is more important.
You mentioned intellectual property rights as one of the.
Yes, it is. Sir.
What way your knowledge is protected?
Sir, for us, one we've done the trademarking. That's our biggest thing. We've come up with a new innovation called as gel coffee, which does not exist at all in the globe today. So this gel coffee is a combination of this can be used for with hot milk. It's a milk coffee with hot water. It's a black coffee with ice cubes put on in it. It's a cold coffee. With a gel, does not exist in the globe. We've already filed the patent for it. We're waiting for the next documentation to be done. So we're doing a pilot of the same in Radissa Blue Hotel. We've done a pilot of the same in the Vizag airport also. So when you ask me this question, how are you very uniquely different? How do I know whether my coffee is right? Today my presence is there in Vizag airport, Vijayawada airport, Raipur, Trichy, and Amritsar. When my customers give me the feedback whether I'm consistent or not, if it is not good, I know for sure my business will go down. If my business is growing, that means I'm doing good. The day when it grows down, I have to come up with a new plan so that I can capture the customer base. That's how we play around.
Yeah. Can I ask you questions because we are lining up the time.
Sir? Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to list myself on Amazon.
Or I couldn't find an Instagram page.
Good question. See, if I want to put myself on Amazon, right? Amazon gets the credit. Where is native Araku coffee there? I don't. So if you go into Amazon, there are 11 Araku coffees in it. How do I get my identity there?
That's the story
The Amazon will not give you all the storyboards. Nobody has access to go back, sit down, and read the story. It is only the package price and the brief on it, right or wrong?
I have to, but I'm sold with the story.
Store with the story. That's the reason why I'm asking you to come to my website and buy. Why should I give it to somebody else?
The word
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Actually, if you ask me, right, if I put it on Amazon, I have to pay them 22%. Yeah. So I give that 22% to the farmer directly. Why should I give it to the Amazon or a Flipkart?
I search Araku coffee. I'm not able to get your story right away.
Right, because yeah, I'll be sitting down on the fourth position. The reason behind you have the biggest lead called Araku Coffee, who's funded by Nandi Foundation, startups, and all of them. That organization comes from a technology background. But my position, I never thought of getting myself on the top level. That takes 2 minutes for me to do an SEO. But the story which I'm trying to sell, right? Like the way you said, sir, I couldn't see it. But when you see it, right, it's there on your memory. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. It is. Every story is not there on Instagram. See, here is it. The biggest answer to Instagram. If I wanted to promote myself on Instagram, there's only one value which is there for trademark. We got a trademark done like 4 or 5 months back. We've been waiting. We don't want to change the website because there are too many legal complications going on that website, and the 6 competitors waiting to go back and get our attention because we're doing decent business in the market. We wanted to go low on SEO. We wanted to reach out to a lot of people. We wanted to build the base first. Today, I can access 1,000 tons of coffee now. Right? That's more important. Now that we've got all the licenses, documentation, procedure, trade licenses, everything in place, we move on. It's a systematic process and approach which we made as a strategy. Answer your question? So we're doing about 1.5 CR per annum.
We are actually
done. Thank you so much. I'm here. We can talk it over. That's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks.